All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled You Gotta Teach Her How to Love You or Treat You. I did a video earlier about she wasn't taught how to love you. You know, West Coast Reg, and I just forgot who did it because they just said it just now. It was kind of as like, what about solutions? So since I did two yesterday, I normally do three now. So this is gonna be four to make up for the one that I didn't do yesterday. You got to teach her how to treat you. Now, ironically enough, I'm gonna go get into this real quick. BGS Itmore, we had a quick chat, and he was like, "You gotta appeal to a woman's feelings." And since I'm such a straightforward guy, I don't normally do that. The crazy part about it is I had to rethink that and realize I used to do that in my past. And it did work, and I did it again recently. It was like, getting on a bike again or whatever, and it works the same. So appreciation to BGS Itmore. He has a channel. Um, Subscribe if you haven't. Now, you got to teach her how to treat you. You got to teach her how to love you. This is what I mean by that. Since these ladies weren't around their quote unquote fathers and father figures, they don't know how to communicate with men, and they've got a perverted experience of how men operate and how we view things. So they're told that we're gonna just take and accept anything when that is so far from the case. So first things first, right? You gotta teach her how male social cues. Women know social cues as society, but they don't know male social cues. Now, I did this in my past. I had a female friend. Same thing. She wants to go out. That's cool. Let's go out. She's like, "Ooh, I want." Women like trying on their clothes or whatever. So she's like, "I want to look good tonight." And I stopped her right there. I said, "Look, who you trying to attract?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, if you dress with a hose uniform, you're gonna attract people who trying to hold you out. If you trying to dress in a woman's uniform, you're gonna attract guys who trying to actually get to know you and talk to you. You gotta. This is how you communicate." So she understood what I was saying. She wore one outfit, she wore the next, and I was like, "But when you dress like this, who approaches you? Like these type of guys." I said, "Okay, try the next outfit. When you dress in this manner, who approaches you? These type of guys. So which one do you want to talk to you tonight?" And then so on and so forth. Now she gets that language because you got to talk to women with logic, but at the same time empathy. Um, so when I would talk to these ladies, they would get, "Oh, okay, okay," because you have to tell them some of the things you getting in your life, you attracting them in your life. You can't complain about the things you attract in your life. The other thing, you got to teach them how to love. You got to teach them, you know, the things that they should be doing by now on autopilot. And the crazy part about it is, I got to say this real quick, you know, it's a bitch, I will say, but as a man, you're supposed to take the leadership position, and this is one of those heavier burdens that men have to deal with nowadays because these women weren't taught about men. They were taught about women, 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 women count, men don't. While dealing with men, that ain't gonna work. So you got to take up the lead and tell them, okay, this is what's up. You got to tell them, okay, this is why I eat like this. This is why I like these type of foods. You might want to cook soul food, but you're complaining that you don't look as good as you used to. This is why I eat like this. This is why I cook like this. This is why I work out like this, because this is how I want to maintain myself. And if you are if you keeping these beauty standards, you got to understand, to keep your beauty standards, you're going to have to change your habits. And then a woman be like, "For real?" I'm like, "Okay, go out and with all your girlfriends who like to eat out and drink. How many of them still fine?" You see, and I say that to say this, because men and women have different ideologies, and women are taught by women about what men think, and they think they can ignore men. they have one major problem. You can't ignore results. So put them in situations so they can see the results for themselves. Because you can't argue results. Even if they want to say, oh, well, that's just a one off. Okay, do it again. Oh, that's just a two off. Okay, do it again. See, at that particular point, they're like, this is what it is. I know. Because a lot of the one thing that about teaching these women is the fact that because they weren't taught to listen to men, you'll get frustrated as a man. Because guess what? You tell her one thing, she won't listen. A week go by, she comes back to you. Don't want to admit you're right, but basically telling you you're right. She might do that a month from now. She might do that 6 months from now. She might do that a year from now. You may never talk to her again and see her somewhere 2 years later, and then she'll admit to you then, you was right about that. If you do that, if that is your normal thing on a regular basis, you actually teaching this woman about men. Now, another thing, you have to teach her how to be a queen. You see, a queen is a career. And you got to explain to these women, that you have to be hired to be a queen. You have to be chosen to be a queen. So to be a queen, you have to carry yourself and have a certain mindset before you can even be hired to be a queen, because you can't show up and be a queen. A king got to pick you. A king gotta find something in you that's worth being a queen, because the kingdom needs order and balance. So if you don't understand order, and you don't understand balance, and you don't understand structure, you can't never be a queen, because if you don't understand sacrifice, you can never be a queen, because that's the part of the king's role, and you have to fit into that. You have to be comfortable in that. You have to be comfortable with this, with dealing with the good and letting the good fall on you, and you have to be comfortable with being stoic when the bad befalls you too. That's about that's the thing you got to teach these women about how to love. You got to love you got to learn how to mentally be neutral and be able to be at high and low and still keep your focus. Because like I said, a queen is a career. It ain't an occupation. You know, like going back to results. Somebody might argue with that. Okay. Now, here's a result for you. Ask all these single friends if they happy. They not. Ask all the mothers and their aunts and their cousins, and their sisters, who all played this game that, they were entitled to whatever men say and do, and weren't required of anything. Ask them how that worked out for them. It didn't. And ask them how did that keep happening over and over again? Because at a particular point, you realize you're the only consistent thing in that equation. That's the result. Going a little further than that, right? We talking about let's put this into you got to teach them how to love as far as single mothers. You got to teach them what's real. You need to get along with your child's father for your sake. If you ever want to be in a stable relationship. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because if you don't have no free time. So you can't drop your kid off at your child's father's house if you're playing these games for control. Your mama and your sister gonna get tired of babysitting. Your cousin's gonna get tired of babysitting. Your girlfriend's gonna get tired of babysitting. If you got a good relationship with your child's father, he ain't gonna care that you're going on a date. All he's gonna care if it gets serious, I need to meet the dude. But that gives you more free time to actually meet people, to go live your life. And that's part of the jealousy that some of y'all have a problem with, because y'all wasn't taught that. Guess what? That might balance things out for you. Now, you got to teach these women how to love your finances. You got to teach them that, the most valuable thing you got on this planet is your time. And the way she treats your time, you got to equate that to how if you cheat on my time, to me that's equivalent as if how you would feel if I was cheating on you with another woman. You got to express that in those ways that she can understand it. You know, the way you spend my money, or or disrespect my property, is a disrespect to my time, and I take that as infidelity. You got to teach her that when she crosses that line of disrespecting your time, she's disrespecting your relationship. You got to teach her that respect is the language of love for me. You gotta be, look, baby. Let me tell you something. I love your affection, but your affection is nothing without respect. And you have to be willing to do it. And see, here's the problem that people don't talk about also. As Minister Japp will call these dirty Dick Rodneys, and sometimes these old players who trying to get over, they realize this is what they capitalize on, is not being able, is these women not understanding male love language. So they pervert what they daddy did, what these women's father never was able to teach them. So this is how you get these girls accepting all of this BS, to be side chicks, or to be the guy that imprinted her to be that type of guy's whore, and at the same time pimp the guy that she thinks would be good to her. So you got to teach her the opposite. Sometimes you got to teach her that tough love. Sometimes you got to teach these chicks, okay, the guy that imprinted you, or the guys that you love, or the guys that you're attracted to, guess what? If you feel like I'm beneath them and you, but you quote unquote using me, fine. Here's the lesson I'm gonna teach you. When you really in need, and you know I'm gonna come through for you, I'm gonna say, well, you need to call the guys that you really feeling. You need to call the guys that imprinted you. So the lesson is results. Let's see if the guy who you like his swagger actually come through for you when you in a time of need. Let's see if he actually gonna protect and provide for you. Let's see this. You know what I'm saying? You gotta teach these women that reality, fantasy, and reality is two different things. You gotta teach them, like, okay, listen, I need you to love me, but I love me first. So I don't want to love your image because I never love you. And see, this is where they get caught off guard, because all of the makeup and the hair and the persona, you know, that's an image. So you got to teach them that. Listen, you can't complain about a man never loving you because you never loved you more than your image. He don't know you. You got to teach her that's how she puts herself out into the world. So you got to be cognizant. If the real you ain't present, you dealing you open yourself to all the fakes in the world. You got to teach her that, like I said before, results. When it's all said and done, you got to be willing to live with the consequences of your actions. No, nobody's gonna be perfect. You're not gonna find a perfect man, but you're gonna have to be able to live with the man that you choose. And so often we have to teach these women that, if you're gonna love me, you're gonna love the real me, not not what they told you what your entitled image of a man was supposed to be. You know, if you can't, and you got to teach your. Finally, there's a lot of things I probably could say right now because I think we know them better than they know themselves. But finally, we got to teach them that you, we're not female imagery. Just because you think in your mind that's what I want, you better ask me. We got to teach them that you have your free will. You got to go out of your way to do stuff for me. I shouldn't have to ask you to treat me like a king if you feel like you my queen. That ain't the that ain't everybody else's job in the kingdom. That's yours. I'm out. Peace.